Probably going for.
Well, if I can have your attention for just a few moments. Welcome aboard the John Pinkerton. We're underway finally, and it should hopefully cool off a little bit. I've got some safety announcements to make, but if I could first introduce us, I'm Cheryl, I'm skipper for today, and Sue is going to be with me in the galley the first half of the trip. Jeremy and Dave are up on the tiller, and then when we turn the boat around, we swap around as well. So we all take a turn in the galley and on the tiller. I'd appreciate it if you'd wait and listen to the safety announcement before leaving. Okay. Can't force people. So the boat here is owned by the Basingstoke Canal Society, as I mentioned earlier, and we're volunteers, trained volunteers with the society. I and the boat are qualified by the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, and we carry all the necessary safety equipment specified by that agency. You'll find there's fire extinguishers in the cabin, front and back, and the rescue equipment is on the roof and the forward and back decks. The emergency exits are where you came in at the back, two double doors at the front, and the two windows over the wings on the side. In the event of an incident, we'll just ask you to take your seats and to await instructions from the crew, and to not leave the boat under any circumstances until asked to do so. There's no smoking or vaping on board the boat, and that includes the outside areas. Speaking of the outside areas, when you're in the outside, if you would just keep an eye out either side for overhanging branches. This time of year we get quite a lot of growth, and if we have to move aside when another boat comes, we could get quite close. So if you're outside or even by these open windows, stay within the outline of the boat and just be aware of passing foliage. We also get quite close to the bridges when we go through, so you might, you don't want to come between the boat and some bricks. You're welcome to go out on the back deck. If we could ask that only 4 at a time, because there's a limited amount of space at the back. When you go up, go one side or the other, so you're not standing in front of the person on the tiller, and be aware that the tiller swings in an 180-degree arc, so you want to stay to the side when you go up the back. And there's quite a few people on board, so perhaps, swap around, go up for a little while, then let someone else have a turn. Children, if you go up on the back, please take an adult with you, and that adult needs to be responsible for you. The loo is just behind the galley here, behind me. It's on the left hand side as you go back up the steps. It's operated by a foot pedal that you just press down, and instructions are on the wall, but it's fairly simple. You just press it down and release. If there are any problems, just please let me know. The galley will be open in just a moment. We serve hot and cold drinks, snacks, and it is a licensed bar, so there's wine, beer, spirits. We also have souvenirs, books about the canal, and tea towels. So about our trip today, we're going to be going what we call downstream to Barley Mow. It's about 2.5 miles. Because of the low water, it's going to take us a little bit longer than normal. Normally this trip would be about 2.5 hours, but with the low water, the boat just doesn't go that fast. So it's probably going to be closer to 3, might be a little bit more. They're not so little anymore, are they? They're big cygnets. Um, the Dogmersfield estate was one of the reasons why the canal makes this big loop up to Barley Mow and back down again to Church Crookham, because the Mildmays, who owned it at the time, didn't want the canal to come through their estate, so it had to make this big loop that we're following now, up to Winchfield and then down through Church Crookham, Moor. Now we're at the far end of the Basingstoke Canal. It used to go to Basingstoke, hence the reason it's called the Basingstoke Canal. It doesn't anymore. We lost the last 5 miles in the 1930s. There's a tunnel in Greywell, about 1,200 yards long. At the time it was built, it was one of the longest in the country when it was built in the 1790s. In the 1930s it collapsed, and there was no commercial traffic going to Basingstoke by then, so there was no economic argument to repair the tunnel, so it was left to the bats, and the bats have taken over. It's now one of the most important bat roosts in the country and actually in the EU. So the last 5 miles were lost to farmers, builders, and finally they built the M3 across it. So this, I suppose we could call it now the Greywell Canal, because it only goes from Greywell down. It goes 32 miles now, goes through 29 locks, drops 200 feet, and then comes out onto the River Wey. It was originally built to take agricultural products from Basingstoke area, North Hampshire, so wheat and timber and that sort of thing, down to the London markets. It was built over about 6 years, so it was 37 miles, was dug out by hand with shovel and wheelbarrow over a period of about 6 years. Some of the cuttings that we go through here, if you look up at the top of the hill, and you realise that they dug out the entire thing down to where we are now, by hand. Boxes were put in place. They were manned by the Home Guards, so Captain Mannering and his crew. And then when we were no longer under threat, the Home Guard was dispersed to other things.
Go to a number of Chichester. Really? Yeah. Having a fish and chips saffron.
There's 5 of them in this area, but only 2 of them are on the canal. There's this one, and we'll pass another one further along, which I'll try to point it out.
I know, I can see we've got to stay overnight in a B&B. Not all that far from here, is it?
Are you members?
No, we were. We were members, but at the time I had a sister who was really ill, and so we were going to Worthing most weekends, so we decided not to renew because we just didn't have the time to go, and we've never renewed since, so it's a bit silly really. I think we should again now.
Yes. Well, I sort of think we've had it for 2 years now, and I bought my partner a renewal for his birthday last year. But I'm thinking the trouble is we're just, although they're beautiful, they're all beautiful, we're just doing the same ones.
Yeah.
Or unless we go a bit further afield, which would be lovely.
But then it becomes more and more expensive.
Yeah, we're not in the best financial situation at the moment.
This is it, you do have to think of all of that. And it gets to this stage that
I don't mind at all.
when we went to Hinton, I went there with my daughter.
I always thought it was 5 miles, apparently 6.
And if you're
Oh no, you wouldn't. Go past goes round. Go past goes under the bridge. Oh, it goes on. Just where I don't want to meet one. Behind the bridge. You never know quite how confident you are.
It's very easy to
Problem now, of course, is that because the canal is so shallow, that thinking that there's now something in the mud on the right-hand side, we're going to have to wait for this boat to sort itself out.
If you swing around there, you'll be alright. Yeah. They just missed us. I'll just stop here and wait for them. Yeah. Look, canal's not wide enough, is it? Too much mud. Yeah.
He went up that lock that had about 12, went up this huge hill. You didn't watch that? No, really nice French on the ceiling, went up that.
Remarkably also They've got 4 or 5. Oh wow! Plus the day boat. The day boat just started.
Okay. And how much would that be to hire for the day?
Day boat? I don't know what they charge you. It's going to be.
And you don't need any, as you say,
Oh no.
they don't teach you to do it, they just
There's
put them.
a gap with the yeah. Nice time of year for that.
Oh, there's the
Go
horse,
through
right?
this gap here.
It's on the
You look at just west of
Douglasville, oh okay, okay. What, you know all the inside knowledge there, Just need to hook that on some hooks immediately behind you. One just down there.
Duck your head or something, gonna bang it. Sorry, are you away from taking?
Right.
I'm missing these boats. You are missing the boat, but there's one on the mooring where we're going to go. You better go beyond it.